President.
We're okay.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, September 27th, 2018 regular session of the Xenia City Council. Have been in session since 6 p.m. in a special and executive session, and we're now ready to begin our regular session. We'll begin with an invocation led by Mr. Todd Martin from the Liberty Worship Center, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Levi Dean. If you would rise with me, please, for the invocation and pledge.
Let's bow. Father, in the name of Jesus, by the power of the Holy Spirit, Lord, we come to you tonight and we dedicate this time, this council meeting to you. Lord, I pray for wisdom and discernment and unity for this council and all the participants tonight. I pray that we will work in unity to forward the progress of this city. And I pray that the decisions that are made tonight will make your name great. And together we thank you and for your protection and your goodness. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin and Councilman Dean. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace.
Here.
Councilman Scrivens.
Here.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Dean.
Here.
Mayor Mays.
Here.
President Engel.
Here. This time, I would like to entertain a motion for approval of minutes, our September 13th, 2018 special session.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second, Mr. President.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Any discussion or question on our special session minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Abstain.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Abstain.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And now motion, please, for our September 13th, 2018 regular session.
So moved.
Moved by the mayor. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach. Discussion or question on our regular session meeting minutes, please. Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Abstain.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Abstain.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, we do have a special presentation scheduled this evening from the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, and I'm hoping I'm getting the name correct. It's Kirsten Hopp. You please come to the podium and provide your presentation, please.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting me. This is a pleasure always to come to a local council and have a chance to talk to folks. The MVRPC, the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, as you guys well know, is involved in a lot of funding for transportation projects. Usually people think of transportation, they think of cars and trucks and freight. But transportation can also be active transportation, where a person is getting themselves, maybe with a bike or maybe just by walking, maybe in a scooter and maybe in a wheelchair, getting themselves to wherever their destination may be. And we do provide assistance in that as well. Xenia is already, as you know, a pretty bike-friendly community. I think you guys have provided terrific support through the years on the building and maintenance of these regional trails that come through the area. We organized a walking audit with your planning department and engineering folks several years ago, and we are thrilled with what you've done as far as the protected bike lanes. I know that there's been a big change in terms of the traffic pattern downtown, but it really does represent sort of the best of the best cycling infrastructure, and you guys are out in front on that in the region. We also have other materials. One of the things that I handed out to you is a Share the Road brochure. The front picture is there on the screen. That brochure is something that we developed to allow communities to use their own logo on it. You can put your own logo on the front, on the back. send that out to your residents themselves. And that's a really, I think, helpful piece to share, especially with the traffic changes that come down the road, to share how best to share the road between cyclists and between motorists. There are a number of other parts of that. There can be street banners. We have templates for utility bill inserts, all kinds of good stuff. So, and tip cards as well. So we want to be able to make those available to you. We have a design file, and you guys can take it and run with it. We also work on Safe Routes to Schools programs. That's something that I know you guys have looked at in the past, but maybe not thought of. You were focused on the infrastructure. There's an opportunity, though, to expand the reach of that infrastructure with a lot of educational involvement, helping kids learn to bike, helping schools learn to use those trail access for educational purposes. And that's funded by the state of Ohio at 100%, so that's always nice to hear. We also sit on sort of a task force, if you want, or a community working group that would put together a bike or walk-friendly community application for recognition nationally. And as you consider putting forward a citywide plan, again, we are here to help. We do want to be available for you guys. The alphabet soup you see on your screen now, these are some of the funding sources that we can help you create access to. STP, Surface Transportation Funds, and Transportation Alternatives are the two that are highlighted in the blue handout that I provided. Those are our locally controlled or regionally controlled funds. CMAQ, we solicit for CMAQ applications and pass those through to the state. The others are Rec Trails, Clean Ohio, Safe Routes. These are all handled at the state level, but we can help you get access. And even OPWC, the Public Works Commission, has funding. There have been safety funds used on these alternative transportation projects. Again, anything that really improves the condition for the folks who are cycling. The type of cyclists you see a lot are the folks out in Lycra. You know, these are the guys who ride in big groups or who are out on the weekends doing their 50 miles or 150 miles, depending on the crazy person. But the way to tell if you're... no judgment, I'm sorry. But the way to tell if your community is really bike-friendly is to find the families, the moms that are going to ride with their kids, the people who are riding at different ages, who are not just out there on their $1,000 bikes or $4,000 bikes, but who are out there on the Walmart and Target bikes. And that is a big audience. We talk about the interested but concerned cyclists. They're interested, they're willing to get on the trails, but they may be not as comfortable on the streets. And again, that's why what you guys have already done with the protected bike lanes is so interesting to watch people start using them and figuring out that they can find a comfortable space. People are using the streets. This is a picture from Strava, which is a tracking, an athletic tracking application. So it's something if you're a runner or if you're a cyclist who's doing your 50 miles every weekend, they can track their trips, and then it's recorded on this fantastic heat map that you can actually check out any city in the United States on Strava.com. But it really shows that while the trails obviously are the arteries of the cycling system, you really do have people using the on-street connections to get there from their own home to the trail, or to get from their trail to the destination. We do all kinds of things. We actually have sort of a library of resources available, and that includes the regional trail signage. We actually have the templates for those signs that we can share. If you want to do something a little bit different with the signage and put it in your downtown or put it out in your neighborhoods, that kind of thing. We do, again, walking audits. The picture is a walking audit where we were looking around a school to find the best ways for those students to get to school. We encourage the legislation that protects cyclists, and then other activities that are just, getting enthusiasts out and getting those interested and concerned folks more comfortable. So we really want to be here to support you guys in what your goals are, building your network out into the community. I wanted to stop there and ask if you have any questions. Yes.
Not a question, just thank you very much for coming. I've been the council representative for several years, and anytime I've asked MVRPC to come to our council meeting, you guys have been more than helpful when you come. So. And there's been millions of dollars come from MVRPC to several projects in the city. So I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate that too.
Well, thank you guys, and we wouldn't be here without our members, so thank you guys. And next time, pick an agenda that there's nothing else, and I can talk to you for an hour. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This time we have an opportunity for audience comments. Anyone wishing to address the Xenia City Council this evening, please feel free to do so. Step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
My name is Kenneth Harbison. I live at 1532 Cammore Drive, Xenia. Thank you. I didn't want to hear it. I'm here tonight to apologize to the mayor personally. After the meeting, I feel like a little kid, like she was my mother. I looked at her and she kept going. I made an error. The mayor does not live on Church Street. She told me where she lives, and it's on record. I was just misinformed, and I didn't check it out. So I told her I would come and apologize to her own person, on record, to let everybody know that sometimes we do make mistakes. So I wanted to make it on record that I apologize to the lady, and she was gracious enough to accept my apology. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, man, that's all right.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Billy Carrico, 606 Sutton Drive. I just wanted to formally let you guys know that I did apply for the write-in ballot for council for the election November 6th. My paperwork has been approved. And that I am also having a meet and greet with the citizens on October 13th at 2 o'clock at the Coffee Hub. So if any of you would like to come, I would love for you to come. There's a bunch of citizens already signed up for it, just to sit and chat, and that's about it. Just wanted to let you know. Thank you.
When is it again?
October 13th, that's a Saturday, at the Coffee Hub at 2 o'clock. Everybody's more than welcome to come. The superintendent, Dr. Lofton, is going to be there, and also the principal, Principal Jacoby. They're going to come as well. There's some good things happening with the Xenia school system. I'm on the vision committee for that as well, and it's going in the right direction. And I don't think that the positivity that's happening in the school system with the city is getting out there as much as the negativity. So I called this. Whoever wants to come can come, and let's work it out. Thank you.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please? Seeing no one else, we will move to old business. Our first item under old business is ordinance 2018-28, a second reading, authorizing the sale of the properties located at 220 East Church Street to Kyle and Jenny Holmstrom and Gary and Sharon Creviston, originally introduced by Councilman Scrivens.
Move for passage, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Move for passage. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice President. Any discussion or question on this motion, please?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm just glad to see the property going to some deserving families that want to improve the neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Any other comments or questions, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingle.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item under old business is Resolution 2018-Z, also a second reading, accepting the amounts and tax rates as certified by the Greene County Budget Commission for 2019, authorizing the necessary tax levies, and certifying the tax levies to the Greene County Auditor, originally introduced by Mayor Mays.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move for passage.
Thank you. Move for passage. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice President. Any discussion or question on this motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingle.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item under old business is Resolution 2018-AA, a second reading as well. A resolution of intent to appropriate fee simple interests and/or temporary construction easements in the properties located at 335 East Church Street, 182 North Columbus Street, 191 North Columbus Street, and the corner of North Columbus Street and East Church Street, originally introduced by Councilman Scrivens.
Mr. President, I have talked with the city manager regarding a couple of the property owners affected by this action, and this will at least get the ball kicked off, and I'm looking for further action with a couple of these property owners, and I just think it's going to be a good project once we get over the hump. So I would move for passage.
Thank you very much. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach. Any discussion or question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
No.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingle.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item is Resolution 2018-BB, also a second reading, supporting the 1.03 mil bond measure requested by the Greene County Career Center for construction of a new facility at US Route 68 and State Route 35, introduced by Councilman Lauterbach.
Move for passage.
Thank you. It's moved for passage. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice President. Any discussion or question on this motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingle.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. And our final item under old business is Resolution 2018-CC, also a second reading, strongly urging the Ohio Governor and members of the Ohio General Assembly to invest the state budget surplus in municipalities, originally introduced by Councilman Lauterbach.
Move for passage.
Move for passage.
Gladly second that one.
Gladly seconded by the Vice President. Any discussion or question on this motion, please, Councilman?
I just want the citizens to know that the state of Ohio's rainy day fund is $2.7 billion. And they've got there on the backs of cities like Xenia, local government funds, the state tax, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe once we get Casey's out of office, we can get something done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question on the motion, please?
I echo Councilman Lauterbach's position.
Thank you.
As do I.
And a third, any other discussion?
I concur. I think this is long overdue.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Okay,
Move the previous question, Mr. President.
thank you. Let's have a roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingle.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right.
This time, we would normally have public hearings. We have none scheduled this evening, so we will move to new business. Our first item under new business is ordinance 2018-29, an emergency, amending ordinance 2018-26 to provide appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of Xenia, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. As was discussed with City Council at the work session last week, City staff is recommending the continued build-out of the city fiber network. As reliance on technology continues to increase, a reliable and robust network will position Xenia well for the future. The city has already connected many of its sites over the last several years, and staff recommends the connection of additional city assets such as water towers, the water plant, the sewer plants, lift stations, and pump stations. Getting high-speed internet to the city's industrial parks is also a high priority. In the 5-year CIP, which I believe many of you were provided this evening, there is a plan for build-out of the city network. The first project that we would like to push forward actually isn't in the CIP because we'd like to do it this year in 2018, and that is an extension of the 2nd Street fiber run down the West 2nd Street to the water tower there just beyond the bypass. The connection will enhance connectivity at the water tower itself, but will also allow us to use the tower to shoot microwave connections to other more remote sites, like the Ford Road wastewater plant or the city water plant. The run will also expand the city's network to the western portion of the city, where the majority of growth is occurring and where replacement of Fire Station 32 is most likely. Staff believes that the cost of network expansion could be partially offset by partnering with local city businesses or even residents by providing network-related services. The REACH project and its close proximity to this run presents an opportunity for partnership that the city staff is exploring. The REACH project is moving along very quickly, and they hope to be open around the first of the year. Staff would like to position the city to provide network services to the site, but would need to move quickly to do so. For this reason, staff is recommending a more aggressive timeline for this run than some of the other fiber projects that you'll see in the CIP plan. Staff requests an appropriation as an emergency of $172,915 to fund the connection of the city's water tower. Only water funds will be used as it's a connection to the water tower, so no tax dollars, general fund dollars, or other general capital improvement funds will be used for this project.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please, as an emergency?
So moved as an emergency.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Lauterbach and seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Discussion or question on this motion, please.
I've
Councilman.
got one. When I first read this, I wasn't like a really gung-ho on it, and then I started realizing network is so vital to business, and I can relate to this. I used to have a property. I was isolated from the internet, and it forced me to sell the building and move. The technology is, I mean, everybody's on some kind of technical device anymore. And if we can provide this service, especially to help the residents, that's what I'm really in favor of. Thank you.
Thank you. Other discussion or question, please.
I think this is the wave of the future, and I think this is our first step in getting ahead of the curve, so it definitely has my vote.
Thank you.
I
Other-
absolutely agree.
Thank you. Anything else? I'd like to thank staff for bringing this important aspect to our attention so that we are in time to reach out to the, coincidentally enough, REACH Center and make that available to a very important and long planned for addition to our community that will be greatly valuable to us for decades to come. So thank you, staff, very much. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Ingle?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is Resolution 2018-DD, also an emergency, waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Quantum Network Integrators, LLC, for the West 2nd Street Fiber Extension Project and declaring an emergency. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, President Ingle. As the timeline for completion, as stated previously on the 2nd Street fiber run, is tight, construction needs to begin as quickly as possible. Quantum Network Integrators, LLC, provided the lowest bid for the previous fiber projects and completed the project as required. The city's experience with the firm has been positive, and given that relationship with the firm, we reached out to them to provide a quote for this project. The price per linear foot is $13.83. I think the number in the agenda item was slightly different. The total cost of the project was correct, but we forgot to update that number. So it's actually $13.83 per foot, but that's still far below the price that was given by the other contractors when the bids were solicited previously a few years ago. Being that the price is very competitive and there's an urgency to the initiation and the completion of the project, staff requests that council waive bidding via the presented resolution as an emergency for the Second Street Fiber Run and authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with Quantum Network Integrators LLC for an amount not to exceed $172,915.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please, as an emergency?
So move as an emergency, Mr. President.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Mayor. Discussion or question on this motion, please?
What's the approximate turnaround time from the time we let the contract to we can turn on the juice?
So they say about 6 weeks. We need to be done by approximately the 1st of December so that they can do some testing before they open at the site. A lot of that's dependent on how quickly they can actually get the fiber. I don't think that the conduit itself is a problem, so they can begin boring, put in the conduit. But assuming that they can get the fiber here, they're thinking about 6 weeks. Passage of this as an emergency gives us about 8 weeks to get it done. So I think we're going to be able to reach that goal. But the estimated project completion time to get to the reach center is about 6 weeks. It may take them a little longer to get across the bypass there to the water tower.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please?
Who seconded? You seconded?
I did.
made the
Mayor,
motion.
Mayor.
Mayor made.
Anything else, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Next item under new business is Resolution 2018-EE, also an emergency, authorizing the city manager to submit an application for federal funding to the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission for the North Detroit Street resurfacing project and declaring an emergency. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. This agenda item pairs very nicely with our presentation this evening. Council has previously instructed staff to continue to look for grant opportunities to bring value to our street rehabilitation efforts. In pursuit of this, our staff has recently been made aware that the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission has announced that it is soliciting local jurisdictions to submit project funding applications for the next round of Transportation Improvement Program funding, which would be allocated in approximately 5 years. This evening, staff presents a recommendation to pursue this grant funding through MVRPC for resurfacing of a critical thoroughfare in Xenia, which is the US 68 corridor, and specifically North Detroit Street from Kinsey Road to Church Street. This critical roadway was last surfaced in 2003, and by the time any grant funding would become available, if awarded, the current surface will have reached its useful life. Because the Detroit Street is a U.S. route and experiences significant daily traffic, it's critical that its functionality be maintained for both residents and commercial enterprises. Staff recommends City Council approve as an emergency resolution tonight authorization to submit the grant application with MVRPC. As a reminder, an emergency resolution is necessary because our charter requires 2 readings for a resolution, and completing the typical legislative process would automatically extend beyond the grant application period. As additional note, if awarded, the local match for this project would be provided through our 229 fund resources, which are limited in use and have to be provided for thoroughfare roadways, so it's a good fit for this project.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please, as an emergency?
So moved as an emergency.
Moved by
Second,
Councilman
Mr.
Lauterbach.
President.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Discussion or question on this motion, please?
Mr. President.
Yes.
Now, this will be implemented in 2023, is that correct?
I think it was more like 20, 4 years, yeah. I think that's when the award cycle would be in terms of when the funding is done. So it'd be within that, either within that cycle or the following year. So it's a number of years out, and there are portions of the roadway currently that are in some degree of disrepair. So we want to make sure this is on the radar, again, given the gravity of the importance of that roadway in our community, so.
And at what point do we take money out of the 229 to fund this project?
It wouldn't be until that year we actually
So
do the
not
project.
until 23?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, with that funding source, we get about $150,000 to $165,000 a year So typically, when we have projects, where we have a significant match from those funds, we'll save it up for a couple of years.
Start saving.
Accumulate the fund balance, yep.
Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item is ordinance 2018-30, an introduction, establishing a 20-foot disability parking space in front of 393 East Second Street. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. The city's engineering office was contacted by the property owner at 393 Second Street, requesting a disability parking space in front of the home at this address. Residents, as noted in your agenda report, at their address both have permanent disability holder placards, and because both residents have a difficult time with mobility, they're requesting the addition of the disability parking space, including the designated signage and so forth with the residents. The resident has worked with the contractor and installed a permanent ADA access ramp to the residents adjacent to the desired handicap space. Consequently, the property owner has met the minimum requirements that we would have for approval. The matter was presented to the Xenia Traffic Commission on Monday, June 4th, and on August 6th, the commission recommended that City Council adopt an ordinance to establish the requested disability parking space. So staff presents the proposed legislation this evening, which would accomplish this, and we endorse the recommendation to introduce the ordinance this evening.
Thank you very much. Is there an introduction from one of my colleagues?
Introduce it.
Thank you. Introduced by,
Happily seconded.
only an introduction necessary
Oh,
this
that's right, we
evening.
need no second on that one.
Next item is ordinance 2018-31, an introduction, amending chapters 238 and section 298.01B, and enacting sections 284.01, 284.02, and 284.03 of the Administrative Code, and amending chapters 450, 452, and 454, and repealing chapter 410 of the Traffic Code as contained in the codified ordinances of the City of Xenia. Mr. City Manager.
As long as that title was, my introduction is even longer. So please bear with me. I do want to, for the sake of our audience, give some context to these varied recommended legislative changes. This evening, staff is recommending introduction of a series of ordinances which collectively will repeal outdated portions of our local code and simultaneously introduce new code to provide proper legal infrastructure for various service responsibilities. More specifically, these changes seek to accomplish 4 core objectives as follows. First, to update Chapter 238 titled Department of Public Safety, which among other things will bring the role and responsibilities of the Public Safety Director up to date and incorporate new authorities related to parking and roadway designation and enforcement functions, and incorporate language to provide structure to our statutory responsibility for indigent burial services. Second, to amend Section 298.01B, which is the fee schedule for parking violations, providing new fee structure for the non-criminal parking violations. Third, to repeal Chapter 410 of the city's traffic code regarding authority and duties of the Traffic Commission and move those provisions to Chapter 284 in the administrative code, which currently contains no sections. The purpose of this is to outline the Commission's establishment and duties in Title 8 of the Administrative Code under boards, commissions, and committees, where provisions governing all other boards and commissions are currently contained. This change repeals the 3 sections currently contained in Chapter 410 and enacts 3 new sections in Chapter 284. These new sections clarify the role of the Commission, establish membership qualifications, and establish provide scope of authority and functioning for the Commission. Fourth, to amend Chapters 450, 452, and 454 of the Code. Some highlights here. The changes to Chapter 450 established a Parking Violations Bureau, sets forth what information should be included on a parking ticket, outlines how parking tickets are to be answered, and sets forth the process to challenge a parking ticket. This chapter also outlines the powers of the Parking Violations Bureau to seek judgment for unpaid tickets and putting a vehicle registration renewal block on a vehicle for unpaid parking tickets through the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. All parking tickets will now be non-criminal in nature, so it was important to set forth the powers for the Parking Violations Bureau will have to collect and pursue unpaid tickets as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. The changes to Chapter 452 include the ORC prohibitions on parking and our local parking regulations. as all parking violations in the city will now be non-criminal. Even tickets issued for violation of a parking regulation established by state law can be handled through our Violations Bureau, and the violator will not have to appear in court, nor will the parking violation appear on his or her driving record. This brings clear benefit to our residents while improving accountability to the parking violations problem that we currently have. Finally, the changes to Chapter 454 address the ORC requirements regarding private tow-away zones and removal of abandoned or junk vehicles from public or private property. These changes are a lot to digest, and we understand that. They are the culmination of abundant staff due diligence and a lot of dialogue with council over the past year as we look to seek ways to improve the timeliness and effectiveness of our parking designation and enforcement functions, and specifically those issues downtown. Further, these efforts address the need to update major portions of our local code, much of which is original to the 1950s, believe it or not, that has not been updated or amended with the intent of being more reflective of contemporary service delivery needs. We're recommending tonight that you introduce the legislation, but it is also our recommendation that you consider appointing an ad hoc review committee to work with the law director and myself to review these changes fully and work toward a level of comfort before a final vote. And I would extend that recommendation to say it's not our expectation, in order to facilitate that ad hoc committee, that you necessarily conduct your second reading and vote at the next council meeting. We understand the breadth and depth of changes that are being considered here, and we want you to be comfortable with that. So again, our recommendation is put together a small committee, take some time with us and kind of review in detail, allow that committee then to be spokesmen or women back to the rest of the council so you can be comfortable with this abundance of changes. So that is our recommendations this evening.
Thank you. Is there an introduction of the ordinance as written, please?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. Introduced by Councilman Scrivens. Would you like a motion to establish this committee this evening or at the second reading, please?
I would say the sooner the better.
Thank you.
And again, I think just maybe getting 2 or 3, depending on the council's desire, that have some availability, just a few hours to sit down with us so we can kind of go step by step and describe what's being changed and why and what benefits those changes would bring.
Are you seeking this crew from the council or from the council plus citizen volunteers?
I would say, to be expeditious, probably just council. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there any volunteers from council?
I would volunteer.
Councilman Latterback, Councilman Scrivens, Councilman Dean. I believe we need a motion to establish this body. Would you care to
So
make
moved.
the motion?
So moved.
And seconded by Councilman Scrivens, if I'm
Yes,
seeing
sir.
a head nod.
That's right.
Any discussion or question on the establishment of the committee?
Just for the sake of the audience, this is about a 1/4 inch thick documentation, so, yeah. I think it's a very, very good recommendation that we go over it.
The city manager said there was a lot of due diligence. He didn't mention a lot of typing.
I'd just like to add, Mr. President, when we get a lot like this, and it's in bullet form, it'd be a lot better if they numbered them, and then we could refer to the number quick enough. We got 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 chapters here that we're amending, and, it's tough to follow everything. We'll talk about it.
So you're suggesting that the law director do more typing?
Well,
I'm sure she's saying that.
at least move from the bullets and do a numerical, so I can look right quick and see, I got 10 things I'm looking at, plus 2 other ordinances, so 10 things in 238, and then 2 things in 410 and 452, so.
Thank you. Good recommendation. Any other discussion or question?
Is the goal for you to report back to us before the second reading?
And how many people, it's just gonna be us 3?
Is there
For
a
that,
time
how
where we
could-
could we?
Could I add, if I may?
Couple of citizens?
Our intent is not to force a second reading and a vote, at your next meeting. So if we want to just tentatively plan that second reading and prospectively a vote at your second meeting in October, that would give, I think, sufficient time
Okay.
for abundant review, and then the opportunity for council members to
Thank
have
you.
dialogue amongst yourselves from those, in terms of those 3 on the ad hoc committee.
That helps, thank you.
Any other discussion or question, please?
Just to be clear, Mr. President, so the motion would be then to appoint to launch the ad hoc committee and appoint those 3 council members as indicated
Yes.
to the committee.
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Our next item under new business is Resolution 2018-FF, an introduction authorizing the city manager to execute a use agreement with Casey's Marketing Company for the use of city property located adjacent to 1625 North Detroit Street. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. As City Council has been made aware, Casey's intends to construct a 4,800 square foot convenience store at 1625 North Detroit Street, formerly the site of the Wick Line store. The new Casey's store will use the existing ingress points off of North Detroit Street as well as Kinsey Road, which have been shared in the past with both McDonald's and Wick Lines. Additionally, however, Casey's feels that it needs to construct a southern point of ingress-egress in order to help prevent traffic congestion on their site. The proposed southern access point meets the city standards for driveway spacing, and per a traffic analysis that we required, it is not estimated to contribute to traffic safety or congestion problems on the adjacent roadways, again, based on that report. Casey's does feel the south driveway is crucial to the success of their store, and therefore they feel it's necessary for them in order to move forward with the project. The key consideration for City Council this evening relates to the fact that the proposed additional driveway would cross the city-owned Little Miami Scenic Bike Trail parcel. As the city's policy that any development on a city-owned bike trail parcel require a lease or use agreement in order to have any development proceed. We have executed similar such agreements with other businesses in the past. Staff has nearly finalized the use agreement with Casey's that would allow the development of the driveway to proceed. This evening, we're recommending that council authorizes to move forward with execution of agreement once it is final, and that you do so this evening to authorize that with the intent that we can keep this process moving along and meet some deadlines that both Casey's and the current property there at the Wick Lines property have. So we again recommend authorization this evening.
Thank you. So just to be clear, as an introduction or a motion?
Introduction. Was it your intent, do you think?
It was just an introduction
Okay,
this
well,
evening.
I'll take that back. We'll,
October 22nd is their deadline, so a second reading on the 11th. We didn't feel it needed to be an emergency tonight.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. May I have an introduction then from one of my colleagues, please?
So moved.
Introduced by Councilman Lauterbach. Next item is an administrative motion, appointments and reappointments to various city boards and commissions.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd like to move that we lump those together and make one motion if there is no objection from my colleagues.
Thank you. A motion to lump the significant number of personnel. I will read them, but we will take them as one motion, provided that there is a second and concurrence by council.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach, or motioned by the Vice President. Roll call on that portion, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
So the administrative motions are as follows. There are several current vacancies on various city boards and commissions. The vacancies have been advertised on the city's government channel, website, and Facebook page. Background checks have been completed and are satisfactory for the following new appointments. Forrest Wilson to the Economic Development Advisory Board to fill a vacant term with an expiration date of April the 25th, 2019. Michael Burrell to the Board of Zoning Appeals to fill a vacant term with an expiration date of the 11th of April, 2021. Further, several boards and commissions have seated members whose terms have expired or are nearly expiring. City clerk contacted the members, and the following have expressed their desire to be reappointed. Mr. Dick Montgomery, the Economic Development Advisory Board, to be reappointed to a new 4-year term with an expiration date of April the 25th, 2022. Matthew Bennett to Planning and Zoning Commission to be reappointed to a new 4-year term with an expiration date of the 31st of December, 2022. David Leach, Planning and Zoning Commission, to be reappointed to a new 4-year term with an expiration date of the 31st of December 2022. Jim Preston, the Traffic Commission, to be reappointed to a new 4-year term with an expiration date of October the 12th, 2022. And Lauren Napier, Student Liaison, Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities, to be reappointed to a new 1-year term with an expiration date of the 24th of August, 2019. Is there a joint motion for the approval of these appointments, please?
I thought that's what I did.
You motioned to appoint them as a single motion.
I got you.
So, motion by the Vice
I'll
President,
make the motion now to appoint.
and a second, please. Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on these appointments as a collective? Councilman?
Mr. President, I really don't have a habit of voting for people who I don't know. I do know a few of these people, and I'm impressed with them. It would be nice if a person is being appointed to a board or commission to present themselves to council on the night that they may be considered. At least, I'd like to at least look at who's on these various boards and commissions that I'm going to put my vote to.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please? Councilman?
I'd just like to thank these citizens, because serving on a commission is a time commitment. And I appreciate these folks for doing that. There's been a few times where it's hard to get a quorum because people live busy lives. And so just reach out and thank each one of these people for their commitment, and I hope it works out for them.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean? Aye. Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Our final item under new business this evening is an administrative motion approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $871,755.76. Mr. Finance Director.
I have nothing to note.
Thank you. Motion, please.
I'll make that motion, Mr. President.
Motion by Councilman Dean, second, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice President. Any discussion on our bills this evening, please?
Mr. President, I had
Yes.
spoken with the Director of Finance regarding a few of these accounts.
Okay.
And one that I thought was well over and outside of our range, come to find out, it was a very good move that we made to switch from one vendor to another. And I want to thank the Finance Director for pointing that out to me.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question on the bills, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean? Aye. Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move now to reports of committees. The first is the Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities. I chaired that board, and the report I will provide is somewhat brief. The primary item of consideration at the meeting on the 4th of September was discussion of the Shawnee Playground equipment replacement. The committee looked at 3 different options with a variety of choices within those options. Presented by our city planner, Mr. Forshner, the committee thought very highly of the options that were provided and suggested consideration of the Modern Nature option with the Nature Play Edition. That will be coming before us at some point in time, as I know that a number of my colleagues took a tour recently through the city, and a stopping point along there was, I believe, the Shawnee Park Playground equipment and area. It is in declining health and certainly is in need of replacement at some point in time from a safety and security perspective. I believe this equipment is quite old, bordering on 20 years. And it gets obviously all of the weather and all of the use from our youngest citizens. So that was our main point of discussion. In another part, we discussed our community gardens, and in this case, for the first time, we received a grant from the Greene County Public Health for that particular project, something that the city representative noted that we would be doing again. Other programs, we are preparing for the youth recreational basketball program once again, and the representative that leads that part of the program within BRCA is going to the school board that following Monday, the 10th of September, and we'll be receiving a report from him at our next meeting to understand the school's commitment to the youth recreational basketball program again for the year 2019. And we have a meeting coming up in early October where we will be discussing that basketball program, hearing that report, as well as discussing in some detail nature of the hometown Christmas celebration this year, scheduled for November the 24th, 2018, which will coincide with the Small Business Saturday. Should be noted this year that it would appear we are not having a particular parade as we have in past years, but we will be having Santa in the Park again, which was a particular joy for many of our children at last year's celebration. Any discussion or comment for BRCA and its programs, please?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd just like to add to yours about the playground equipment. Not only is it really old, but also we're unable to get repair parts. So that's why we must replace it.
Yes, thank you very much. I neglected to mention that part. That is a very significant reason why we have to look at a larger capital investment for this.
And Levi, I don't know if you still use it or you.
I'm barely over the age limit, just barely. Missed it by a few
He
months.
left us mark.
He did use it as a young man.
Got his use out of it.
I'm almost afraid to ask for any more discussion.
I was about to ask, is he responsible for the destruction?
It was in good working order back when I used it.
I think we'll move on to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which was canceled in September. Councilman Smith, anything to add, please?
Nothing else. Mr. President, next Xenia Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is going to be that first Thursday in October, and that's October 4th, 6 o'clock.
Thank you. Anything for Councilman Smith from Planning and Zoning at this time? Mayors and managers. Mayor or Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, sir. I will take it. Two items of note were presented at our September meeting, which is our first meeting back from the summer hiatus. First, there were representatives from the University of Dayton who provided an update on facility projects with the university, including some conceptual discussion for the possible reuse of the former Montgomery County Fairground site. I think the mayor would agree with me. It's not a wonder why their tuition is so high when you see how much construction they have going on. Second, and perhaps more importantly this evening, a legislative update was provided concerning small cell infrastructure. It was reported that the Federal Communications Commission is currently considering new rules that would require local communities, such as Xenia, to make right-of-way and potentially municipal infrastructure available to private entities for the build-out of wireless communication systems. If this sounds familiar, we just fought this fight with the state of Ohio, and now the federal government's trying to take its turn to kowtow to some of the large cellular providers. This obviously runs totally counter to the efforts that we've participated with to maintain home rule at the state level. So we're keeping a very close eye, and we'll take any efforts that we can to lobby with our federal authorities to make sure that this does not happen, so that we can keep local control of our local infrastructure. That's it.
Thank you. Anything for the mayor or the city manager for mayors and managers, please?
I would like to just ask one thing, that as you watch what's going on with that, would you give us periodic updates?
Sure. Yep.
So that we can be kept abreast of what is happening?
Yeah, the organization will keep a very close tab on this, and so we'll bring those reports back.
Thank you. Anything else, please? Last, under reports of committees, is Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission. Councilman Latterback.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just don't want to be repetitious, but I just wanted to piggyback on, I always butcher her name, I just call her Kay. But she did a fine job of giving the presentation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything for MVRPC and Councilman Latterback, please? Moving to appointed official reports and council comments, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. A few reports or updates this evening. First, we're about halfway full with our Citizens Academy. In fact, a couple of our attendees in the audience tonight are among those who are signed up, so we're thrilled with that. So there is still some time for some additional late registrants who want to participate. Again, the Citizens Academy is a 4-session process over 4 different Thursday evenings, about 90 minutes, 120 minutes per session. Where we'll provide an opportunity to learn about the inner workings of the city of Xenia, learn about our construction as a local government, learn about how our budget works, take an opportunity to visit our fire and police stations, learn about what they do on a day-to-day basis, get to try the equipment on, and we'll take an opportunity to look at our utility systems and our public service department and see what it takes to treat water and, unfortunately, wastewater. So again, not a huge commitment. We think it'll be a fantastic opportunity for folks to sort of get up close and personal with the operations of our city and learn more. If you are interested in learning more, or if you want to go ahead and apply, visit our link on explorexenia.com. You can also call the city manager's office for more information. The assistant city manager wanted me to remind folks tonight of several dates coming up. October 8th is Columbus Day. Our offices will be closed to the general public. Our staff will still be working. That's our in-service day where we have group training on a variety of different things, which will include active shooter and a host of other activities that we have planned for that day. But again, our normal office hours will not be available to conduct those in-service trainings. October 30th is the Xenia Community Schools Trunk or Treat at Shawnee Elementary. That's from 6 to 8 p.m. The city fire and police particular will participate in that, so we encourage folks to come out. Our community trick or treat is October 31st. We keep it actually on Halloween. That's 6 to 8 p.m. That's rain or shine. The only way we would cancel that if there was severe weather, inclement weather that was predicted. And then November 1st, we are projecting a council chat from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Coffee Hub. We will have several of our staff who will be participating in one of the Citizens Academy events that night. So again, that's November 1st. We would strongly encourage as many council members to be there as possible, since several of us will be participating in the Citizens Academy that night. So please add that to your calendars. And I think that's all.
What time is that at, November 1st?
6 to 8 p.m. Coffee Hub. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything for the city manager, please? Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Last week in the Utility Billing Division, we had a very busy week. There are certain weeks when bills become due, and in some cases past due. There is a lot of customer service that's provided. Hundreds of calls per day last week into the Utility Billing Division. And just wanted to thank those people because they did a terrific job. Average wait times on most of those days was less than 30 seconds, and the highest wait time on the average was 1 minute on the highest call volume days. So just want to thank them for the efforts that they put in. Those days can be a little stressful, a little crazy. Appreciate the public's patience with us as we tried to provide service on those busy days.
Thank you. Anything for our Finance Director, please? Oh, sorry.
If you're done with the Finance Director, I did have one thing I failed to mention. We have produced our new 5-year CIP. I think you should have gotten copies tonight, or they are available for you tonight. Strongly encourage you all to start reviewing those, and then we will plan several work sessions to talk through. A very critical period, lots of exciting projects, but as always, we're challenged, with limited financing to be able to fund all of the priorities that we have. So those are available, and really encourage you to start reviewing those. Forgot that, so I apologize.
Anything for our Finance Director, please? Madam Law Director.
I have one thing I would like to touch on tonight. Council passed Resolution 2018 CC, urging the state to give some of our local government funds back. I would like to encourage you as individual council members and our citizens at home to write letters to their senators, to their state representatives. I think what a lot of our residents don't understand is the local government funds that 9-10 years ago we were getting, that's your state income tax. That's your state sales tax that you pay at a local level. Before our current governor, that money used to come back to the local communities, and we invested it in our streets, in fire, in police, in the local services we provide. What's happened over the last 8 years is those local tax dollars are going to the state, and they're keeping them. If you look at what's currently in the rainy day fund, the $2.7 billion, and you look at the cuts they've made of what they gave back to the local communities, it's almost dollar for dollar. That's where all that money came from. The current surplus is $147 million that they're talking about keeping as well. So not just Xenia, but all the local communities have all had problems with paving, with keeping quality employees, with providing basic core services. So I would strongly encourage our citizens, you as council members, everyone, send letters to your senator, to the governor, to the state rep. The local tax dollars that we pay need to come back to our local community.
Thank you, very well said. Councilman.
I guess I don't really understand, once they reach the 2.7 billion and the surplus, they can actually keep the surplus?
I don't know what their plan is to do with the surplus, if that will finally come back or if
I
they're going.
just asked, I don't know.
I guess they'll probably keep it.
I think they can only go to a certain amount of surplus, and at that point, they have to start spending the dollars on something. The question is, will they spend it on certain state projects, or will they pass that money back to the local communities?
There are some intended purposes that they have articulated, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll find it and let you know, because I think one of the purposes was a tax cut to other specific entities. So they wanted to cut taxes in certain areas and have this surplus offset that tax cut without any change in other revenues. But again, that's when the local governments are struggling to make ends meet, and they want to offset someone else's tax liability. So, but we can check specifically, because there were some specific reuses of those dollars that they were looking at that did not include anything back to the local governments.
Thank you.
Anything else, please? Thank you very much. We'll move to council, and we'll start with our mayor, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start by thanking our chamber for the Xenia Festival on the 14th and 15th, and the many volunteers that participated, the businesses that supported it, and the city staff. I know for my family, we thoroughly enjoyed it. The kids enjoyed the balloon glow, and of course the parade, and my son is Batman in the parade, and it was a lot of fun, so we were very pleased with the event, and I just wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to also congratulate Glory Ministries on the 15th as well. They celebrated their 10-year anniversary. Reverend Dr. Gloria Wade Dillon has been leading that ministry for these 10 years, and she's done a phenomenal job of serving this community, and she's had a major impact on the city of Xenia. So congratulations to them, and we enjoyed a celebratory evening out at CSU on the 15th. On the 18th was Neighborhood Night Out, and just as always, the staff did a great job, and our sponsors, the fire department was there, police, and again, our entire family. There's something for the whole family at those, and I hope next year that people come out and experience those evenings. It's a great time to get to know your city staff, ask questions, get to know the police and fire department, and a lot of other businesses that are there. And it's a free dinner. You don't have to cook, so it's a win-win. And then Friday, the September 21st, there was a ribbon cutting to rededicate and reopen the Sarah Lee Arnovitz Park, which is in the township, but it's part of our community. If you haven't been out there lately, it is a beautiful place to go and to walk around, and it was a neat opportunity to see what all has been done out there. And then on the 22nd, let's see, there was an open house put on by Five Rivers Health Center at the new Greene County Health Building, and it was a really neat event to see what they're doing out there. Got to attend that, and I was able to give a dedication prayer, and I wanted to congratulate them on their new building. And then today, this morning, Shawnee Elementary School did their walkathon. All the kids did a huge walk around the block, and all of them made it back safely. The kindergartners, they were there, barely got there. And it was a neat, the PTA, they do a great job, because that fundraiser is 100% of the proceeds goes right back to the school for the field trip. So great job, Shawnee, and great job, teachers, and everybody that was there. A couple things to note. With God's Grace Food Pantry, this is a free food pantry that takes place the fourth Thursday of every month at Emmanuel Baptist Church, which is at 1120 South Detroit Street. Just wanted to note that this month only, it will be actually tomorrow, Friday evening. It's open at 6 p.m. It's for all Greene County residents. You just need to bring your ID. And if you get there a little bit early, they do it pretty quick. You get through the line pretty quickly. So that is a free food pantry. And then that when I was writing this out, it triggered me to let people know the Xenia Fish Food Pantry, they serve approximately 700 families every month. They are desperately in need of volunteers. So if you have any interest in volunteering at the food pantry that's over on Ledbetter, you can contact Brenda at 937-409-5707. And that is all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilman Lauterbach.
Thank you. I forgot to ask Brent this earlier. Hampton Inn, is that open for business?
They are open for business. The official ribbon cutting with the chamber, I think, was moved back to the 3rd. Is it?
Tuesday, the 2nd.
Second, okay, yeah. So
But they
haven't
are-
rescheduled, but they are officially
They have been
open.
open
Yep.
for business.
They
Yep.
have guests.
Very,
And-
very pleased.
They've been full.
Yeah. I don't know if this is confidential or not. Has Casey's General Store signed, or got permits yet?
So with our action this evening, I think the answer is no. They submitted their preliminary site plan, so they're in the process. They haven't officially closed on the property. Again, the action we presented earlier this evening was one of the things that they felt was necessary that the city commit to in order for them to move forward. So, but we do seem to be on track for them to move forward on time.
Okay, I won't ask my further question. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank city staff. Last Thursday, we had the walkthrough. I know that was a commitment of time, and thank the council for doing that. Yeah, learn something new every day in this job. So appreciate everything that you're doing. I'm really excited to hear about the Citizen Academy thing. I think this is a really good program. And thank you for what you're doing, and thank the citizens for watching tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Just wanted to say thank you to the Green Memorial Hospital and the Kettering Medical Center. Last Friday, I believe, they had a half-page article with our very beautiful mayor representing us, and it was a good piece. And I just wanted to compliment her on not only her beauty, but her expertise. Also, Mr. President, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., I will be joined by our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Jared Holloway, and our Finance Director, Mr. Ryan Duke, and my colleague, City Councilman Levi Dean, and my esteemed colleague, the mayor. We're all going to be taking part in a day in the life of a firefighter. And we're all going to be suited up with helmets and masks and coats and boots and pants and the whole bit. And we're going to supposedly be taken through some EMS functions and vehicle extractions and going into burning buildings. I told the mayor I might pass out and she'll have to give me mouth to mouth and carry me out of the building, you know. So, but it's something that council people should always get involved with the service providers, the water and sewage treatment, the sanitation, and the fire and police. And this is a chance now to learn what an essential function that we pay for, just exactly what they do and the type of people that we have doing it. So it'll be fun. I look forward to working with Mike Center and Corey Stroop. They've reached out to us, and so far so good. And 6 a.m., and we'll start at 7 over at the Hope Hotel. We'll be joined by units from Beaver Creek and Fairborn and Wright-Patterson Air Force Base also. So ought to be a pretty good learning experience for us. And also tomorrow evening, the Xenia Buccaneers will be playing an away football game against the Springfield Wildcats. So we'll say as usual, go Bucks go. And we hope they'll come home with a W. We're hoping. Looking forward to next week for the formal opening of the Hampton Inn. And Tuesday, Councilman Lauterbach probably didn't remember to mention, but MVRPC's having a planning meeting over at the Xenia Library from 4 to 6 to get us all on board of what their overall transportation plan is. So I plan to be there. And
Hey, we're supposed to bring that up.
okay. And I plan to ride my bike over there too, so. So with that, Mr. President, just excited about what's coming up and excited about what's in store. So every day I go out the door, I'm always anxious to see what's in store for me.
Thank you
And
very much.
thank you, sir. Now you're back to balance my time.
Councilman Dean.
I'm just glad that the mayor has the assignment of mouth to mouth and not me. That's all I've got to add.
You do remember what I told you I heard the unofficial name of this project is, right?
Yeah.
Cook the
Cook the
Councilman.
council people, yeah.
Mr. Vice President.
I too would like to compliment Glory Ministries on their 10th anniversary, and I can't think of the title, but Pastor Dillon also received an award that she...
The women in Greene County.
Okay, okay. She got that 2 Tuesdays ago, or last Tuesday, I'm not sure. She missed the AAMA meeting to go get that award, and we were talking about it. And the Citizens Academy does sound like an exciting project, and I'm glad we've got that going. I'm glad I didn't have the assignment either, Councilman Dean, but I'm not going to be there anyway, so you just have to, just have to die.
Just have to die.
Make it right.
Make it right.
All right, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. I don't know that I can make that right. I'm terribly sorry. What I would do is echo wholeheartedly the comments of our law director during her piece.
Absolutely.
It is one thing for us to sit here in council, pass a resolution to ask our elected governor to do something with the funds. It's quite another for a volume of citizens to speak up where it counts and send correspondence to not just your governor, but your elected representatives and say, please give us back the monies which you have taxed from us and that are sitting in reserve. The governor and the elected officials know very well what the impact has been to the various cities and such over these past 8 years. There have been any number of resolutions sent to them about the pain that has caused. People have written letters. I would just encourage, once again, please take the time, prepare a short or long letter to all your elected representatives and to the governor, indicating that you believe this reserve ought to come back to the local communities that funded that reserve. With that, I have nothing else to add this evening. I would seek a motion to adjourn, please.
Mr. President, before we adjourn,
Yes.
the letter that we're speaking of, the law director or the city manager is going to draft it, and it's going out over what, your signature?
No.
I would like to see all of the council people affix their signature to that document.
Yeah, we'll send a copy of the legislation, we can draft a cover letter. If you all want to sign that, we can certainly facilitate that, try to fast track that.
I think that would be
I would be happy
apropos.
to sign, and I think
Absolutely.
speaking for
He
all
will
my
be, if we can
colleagues.
just make sure that you have an opportunity to stop by once we get it done, to make sure that you can sign that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll be ready tomorrow afternoon.
And we have addresses here that have just popped up on the screen for me, so I will read them to you.
For people to,
For people to write to, besides your governor, Representative Bill Dean, District 74, 77 South High Street, 12th floor, Columbus, Ohio, 43215. Phone number 614-466-1470. A fax 614-719-0010. That doesn't seem like a real email address to me. Other individual to write to, Senator Bob D. Hackett, Senate Building, 1 Capitol Square, comma, 1st floor, London, Ohio, 614-466-3780. And I'm sure that if you were to go online to the state of Ohio, you could find their respective official email addresses that you could send correspondence to them as well. I just do not have that readily available to me.
be Hackett at state.oh.us.
I would think so. I just wouldn't want to mislead
Send it
anyone.
and come back, yeah.
If you get on this date, you just type in Google Ohio General Assembly. It has a box on there, find your local legislature.
Thank you.
And they've got links on there for all their emails. Email, letters, phone calls even. If a citizen doesn't want to take the time to write a letter, a phone call to their office, hey, send our local fund back
Okay.
would be helpful.
Thank you.
With that, Mr.
And
President,
now-
I'll move adjournment.
Move to adjourn by Councilman Scrivens. Second, please.
Second, please.
Seconded by the mayor, who I think just wants to leave. Roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Eagle.
Gee, I could prolong this for a while.
Go right ahead. Let's see how that works for you.
They'll take care of it.
Um,